I needed a break from my hectic life, so I booked a quiet solo Airbnb in Salt Lake City. But on the very first night, I woke up to the front door wide open, and that wasn't even the scariest part. Last year, I finally decided to treat myself to something I had always wanted but never had time for, a solo vacation. Up until that point, every trip I'd ever taken had been with family or friends. Birthdays, holidays, group getaways, I was never truly alone. And while I enjoyed those experiences, there was always this lingering craving for silence, for stillness, for solitude. A moment where I didn't have to entertain anyone, talk to anyone, just breathe and exist in peace. Salt Lake City wasn't exactly a dream destination, but it was practical. Not too far, not too expensive, and most importantly, it was new. I figured, why not? I'd never been there before. I could check out some hiking trails, grab coffee at a few quiet cafes, maybe even catch up on reading. I searched both hotel options and Airbnb listings, but the Airbnbs looked way more charming, not to mention cheaper. After an hour of scrolling through photos, I settled on a small one-bedroom house just outside the city limits. Clean, minimal, cozy, just far enough from downtown that I wouldn't hear traffic all night, but close enough that I could still drive in for a bite or sightseeing. The host seemed polite, even sent me a welcome message after I booked. The house had glowing reviews. Everything felt right. Too right, maybe. I arrived at the Airbnb at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. The sun was just starting to rise, and a golden haze settled over the mountains in the distance. It was beautiful, peaceful in a way I hadn't experienced in years. The owner texted me the entry code about an hour before I got there. As I parked in the gravel driveway and stepped out of the car, I felt a strange calm wash over me. The silence was deep, not just quiet, but empty, like the world around me had stopped breathing. I punched in the code, opened the door, and stepped inside. It was nice, nicer than I expected for what I paid. Hardwood floors, a tidy little kitchen with fresh white cabinets, a quaint living room with a soft gray couch and a large TV mounted on the wall. The bedroom was at the end of a narrow hallway, small but clean, with thick blackout curtains. After dragging in my bags and unpacking a few essentials, I threw myself onto the couch. 10 hours in a car will drain the soul out of you, especially when it's just you and a playlist keeping you company. I flicked on the TV, found a random cooking show, and just let my body melt. I don't even remember falling asleep. I woke up a few hours later. The digital clock on the TV screen read 10:13 p.m. At first, I was groggy and confused. I hadn't meant to sleep that long, or at all. My neck ached from the awkward position, and the glow from the TV made my eyes sting. I grabbed the remote and clicked the TV off. That's when I felt it, a cold breeze. Not the kind from a drafty window or poorly sealed vent. This was sharper, more direct. It brushed right across the side of my neck as I stood up. I turned slowly toward the source and froze. The front door was wide open, not cracked, not ajar, wide, open. My pulse shot up like a fire alarm in my chest. The breeze drifted through the doorway and made the curtain beside it sway like a pendulum. Everything in me went still, trying to process what I was seeing. I knew I had locked that door. I double-checked it before lying down. I even remember hearing the distinct click of the deadbolt. So why was it open now? I took a cautious step forward. Every creak in the floorboard felt like a scream. I peeked outside first. The porch light was off, and the night beyond it was pitch black. No cars, no movement, just that eerie, suffocating silence. Then I shut the door quietly and turned the lock again. My heart thudded as I walked to the kitchen and grabbed the longest knife from the drawer. Someone had to be inside. There was no other explanation. Room by room, I searched the house. Bathroom, empty. Closet, nothing. Bedroom, still neat, untouched. Each room returned to the same result, nothing. Not a sound, not a trace, no broken windows, no signs of forced entry. Was it possible I imagined locking the door? Maybe I'd been more tired than I thought. I didn't believe that. Still, I tried to convince myself I had made a mistake. I sent a quick message to the owner, asking if maybe someone had access to the house or had been by for any reason. It was late, so I didn't expect a response. I just needed to feel like I had some control over the situation. I checked the locks again, closed all the blinds, and even stacked a chair against my bedroom door before finally crawling into bed. Sometime in the early hours, I woke up again, but this time I didn't move. I didn't open my eyes. I had heard something, soft, subtle, but unmistakable. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, just outside my bedroom door. My breath hitched. I opened my eyes just slightly, enough to see the shadow beneath the door. Faint movement. Someone was in the house. Every muscle in my body locked up. I couldn't even swallow. I lay there, silent, for what felt like hours. My phone was just inches from me on the nightstand. Slowly, carefully, I reached out and grabbed it. I started to dial 911, but the second I touched the screen, I heard it. The footsteps ran, fast, right down the hall, away from the room, toward the front of the house, the sound of the door unlocking. Then, silence again. When the police arrived, I was still sitting on the edge of the bed, clutching the knife. They didn't find anyone inside. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints on the door, nothing. I left that house that same night and checked into a hotel. The Airbnb owner later proved that it wasn't him. He was an older gentleman, genuinely shocked and apologetic. He even refunded me for the stay. I believe him. He seemed sincere and even helped file the report. But that somehow made it worse. If it wasn't him, then who was it? How did they get inside? How did they know the door code? Why didn't they hurt me when they had the chance? I think about that all the time, waking up to that front door wide open, knowing now that someone was already inside, watching me sleep. And I'll never forget that moment, lying in bed, frozen in place, listening to footsteps inches away from where I lay, knowing I was completely vulnerable, completely alone, or so I thought. I haven't stayed at another Airbnb since, probably never will, not after realizing how easy it is for someone to walk right in, especially when you think you're alone.